What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 281. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friends and co-hosts. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
He just his voice that time just assaulted my ears.
Oh, it spiked. I heard it too, and I was like, "Oh wow,
that
was
a visceral reaction."
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So, of course, we have new microphones, and hello to the people. Say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Hello.
Hello. We got new microphones, ladies and gentlemen. Tell us how they are down in the comments below. How are they picking up all the noise? Are they loud enough? Are they too loud? This, that, and the third. I tried to balance it. We did a bunch of tests. I like the level that they're at here because it's a good balance between when we do get loud, like I am here in the intro, and then when we settle down and have more conversational pieces. I think they're good.
Yes.
I think what I heard in the tests was we're not quite loud enough, but the clarity is so much better. So let us know how the balance is, and then we'll try and tweak and alter as we
There's
go.
a lot less like room noise.
Oh yeah. The echo from the walls is pretty much gone, and the cross pickup is much more minimalized. But of course, let me know.
It's still there, but,
Much more.
I'm sure it's still there, especially in the intro here. But as we keep going, let me know if it's still a problem as we keep going.
Yeah.
You know? Just let me know. Let me know. I'm very open to critique and just
feedback.
Feedback because this is something that we need to tweak because it's all new stuff. But I'm very excited to be using them and to be doing it. Gentlemen, I'm very excited to be here with you guys today because we are at the end of the year. This is going to be our last episode of the year.
Indeed.
And we'll be in the new year next year where we will have our top 10 games of 2025. We're going to be doing Fantasy Critic, and we're going to be returning with the Two Penny Game Club, which is our monthly video game book club. This episode, Cruelty Squad. So if you haven't played it, make sure you check it out. It was on sale by a good amount when like a week or two ago. I don't know if it's still on sale.
I think it was like a 70% off thing.
It was, it went
usually
from
listed for like $20. It was only like $7.
It was like a $25, $30, I thought, but maybe it was only $20. I don't know. But yeah, it was quite cheap.
As the time you are hearing this, it will still be up. $6.
$6.
$6. A good deal.
Good deal. Good deal.
Is it a worthwhile deal, though?
If you're keeping up, well, you're going to have to watch the episode to find out there, Connor.
Certainly more worth it than a $20 sale.
Well,
someone's showing his hand. Someone's showing his hand.
They're right here.
Phil, we brought you in on this episode, mostly because you had nothing to do, but also we don't really have that much to talk about this week.
We're just hanging out.
The games industry shuts down the last 2 weeks of the year every year, and it makes this specific episode in particular tricky every single fucking year.
Frankly, that's a very stupid point to make because you always say that or think that, and then these ends up becoming just riffing, but good riffing. It happens each year.
Right, but it's difficult to make the content.
I think it's difficult going into it, making the content, but then it just comes naturally.
But of course, ladies and gentlemen, what is this show? Well, typically this is the Two Penny Gamescast, where me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We'll each come to you with two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can watch the show live every week, Monday, twitch.tv/2pennygames, where we record all of our podcasts live every Monday afternoon. But if you can't catch us live and join us in the chat, not to worry. We will be posted over at youtube.com/@2pennygames and mainstream podcast services of your choice every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop comments down below. I'm sure we're going to be pulling comments quite a bit in this episode to kind of riff off of and talk about. I remember the first year that we did the podcast, we did that episode about like the best way to get into gaming.
Yeah.
For that. We should probably update that at some point. Things have
Especially
changed.
nowadays.
Things have
changed in the last like four plus years since we've been doing this show. 5 years essentially since we've been doing the show.
Yeah, that's true. Started in 2020.
Yeah. So
So or you could say it really started in 2021 because that's when we started doing with me.
So that's when it began.
If that's how you want to play it.
Actually, makes sense.
Also, it was probably the year that we turned some cameras on.
Mm.
You know, I don't know when exactly that happened, but we did it at some point.
I mean, it was sometime like in the middle of 2021.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, because we did a couple with you with no cameras.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you didn't come on until 21. Really? Me and Connor were doing it for like 6 months before you and I did anything?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, because, did y'all start in the middle of 2020, or was it like...
We start,
June. It was like June or July.
Okay, then yeah.
Is the anniversary date.
Then yeah.
Well, we were doing hype.
In like January or February.
Oh, you were right, yeah. Cold.
Yep. Freeze.
We were in hoodies. Sweatpants.
We still should be in. Well, it's kind of cold today.
Well, you can be today.
Yeah.
It's just warm in this apartment.
I'm wearing a sweater.
You know? But I woke up this morning, it was cold as shit in this apartment.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what's crazy. I mean, not to like dote on the weather for too long, but like we go from Christmas in like the 80s.
Yeah. Literally.
And then now all of a sudden it's a low of 40 and a high of 50.
Yesterday,
low of 30, high of 40.
Yesterday, the high was 81, the low was 31.
Insane.
We had a 50-degree drop.
Fucking just make up your mind at that point.
Literally.
I was working outside and I felt it. It was immediately just nice, bright, sunny, cool. Not even cool. Just a nice day, a pleasant day.
Last third of that shift, you were like,
whipping wind.
shiver me
Yeah.
timbers.
What happened?
Yeah, I went into work and
Yeah.
it was starting to cool down.
Mm.
And then like an hour into my shift, I checked it and I went, yo, it's dropped 10 degrees.
Yeah.
What the fuck? So yeah, that was kind of crazy. And you know what's crazy? Next week it's going to be back up again.
They
Nuts.
say it's too far out.
Just a little cold. Just a little cold front. Just a little cold front.
A cold front
I
winter.
prefer it colder. But, you know,
I remember, by the way, I know this
Than
is
it is right now. 43
just
degrees.
Just
Right
colder in general.
I will.
Oh, sure.
I know we're not dull on weather enough. It wasn't always this warm. Christmas time, November time, it was not ever
Well,
80
it's getting
degrees.
worse.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
For all it's just one of those things you couldn't, because when science talk happens, you can
Right.
never really, it can be said in a way where like you don't the polar ice cap's melting. Do I see it? No. Do I feel the weather changing from when I was a kid to now? Substantially. It's scary when you actually compare them.
Well, you know what they say about the weather in Texas? If you don't like it, wait 5 minutes. Because it'll change.
It's so crazy that we say that, but that's so not true.
Yeah.
It's hot most of the time.
Yeah.
And this summer, what really wasn't that brutal at all, which makes me think when it does get cold here, it's going to get bad.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think we're in for it in February,
Oh, yeah.
I hope so.
I think
which
January.
us being in this apartment makes me scared. We'll see.
I'm gonna be so happy.
We'll
It's gonna
see.
be cold. The AC's gonna break or something like that, and then we gotta bundle up. Be good.
Oh, and then you guys are going to be sharing a bed,
You know, that's the first thing you went to, Phil.
staying warm.
Oh, it wouldn't be the first time. Butt naked. Me and that big old man right there. You know?
Whoa, Charlie. We sleep ass to ass. You know that.
You know that. Already lying, Tavin.
In our Expedition 33 versus KCD2 and what makes the best RPG
Just right
video,
into it, huh?
Why not?
XCath X Games says his definition is basically based on D&D. Period. Western. Period. I'm confused. He's Phil. If you don't know, we had that conversation during our Game Awards episode of,
Sure.
well, what is an RPG, right?
That was whenever.
And in that, I said what defines an RPG for me is the character stat page has to be like a big component of the gameplay. You know, so like in a Dark
Okay.
Souls, you're spending time tweaking the numbers, getting nerdy with the numbers, playing around with that.
Okay.
You know, that makes it. In a Final Fantasy VII, you're moving your equipment around to like up damage resistance, bring damage negation up, or bring magic affinity up and things like that, or give yourself things like that. That's what like RPG is to me. Then we had an expanded conversation on that. And so when he says that my definition is basically D&D, I ask you, sir, where do you think role-playing games came from?
Yeah, like a character sheet.
The character sheet, dude. That's how, yes. Also, Western is so confusing because to me, the Japanese defined what an RPG is in video games.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you want, buddy. I don't know. Connor, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it is kind of confusing because I saw him speaking to me in that regard. The commenter wasn't specifically calling out a name, and it was mainly my insistence on you build a character like D&D, whereas in JRPGs, it's not really the building part. Because, again, yeah, the stat page is a substantial thing, but that could be said for a lot of games, more than just RPGs. I understand you were kind of being, well, let's not be too granular about role-playing game requiring you to play a specific role that you choose, but even still, that is a big part of what a role-playing game is. Because when you say, yeah, it did originate with D&D, with games in the West, that was a major component. Not telling pre-established character stories, but ones where you make the character and you set him up.
Yeah.
And that's what's so difficult about comparing that, the Western RPG, versus now including it with saying, well, a JRPG is basically it's the same kind of game. When it's really the only reason we call it a JRPG is because we were putting that label on games coming out of Japan. And if you go back and look at some older developers nowadays, Hideaki Kamiya and Yoshi P, who's the producer of Final Fantasy XIV, they both have differing opinions on what that exactly meant. With
The
Yoshi
term
P,
JRPG.
yes, the term JRPG, with Yoshi P saying it was derogatory. And again, this guy's been in game development for quite some time, so he was there when the term really started gaining a lot of traction, and of course when video games became more and more popular. And he saw that as being insulting in a way to demean it in the eyes of the...
I mean, I still see people use the term JRPG in a derogatory way.
exactly, yeah.
I have a thought And
Right.
it's one thing that's like the difference between those two types of RPGs.
What are our two types that we're talking about here?
So we're saying like JRPG, right?
Because when people say JRPG, more often than not, I would say 9 out of 10 times, they're talking about a turn-based RPG.
Sure.
Is what they generally mean.
But like my thought is the differences in what happens to your stats when you level up. Right?
You going?
Whereas in more Eastern RPGs that aren't like more like I say Eastern, but I'm in the other column, like for Western, I'm including like Souls games and stuff, even though I know it's Japanese developer.
The
So
style of game.
the style of
You're
game.
so what you're saying is more the difference between a turn-based and a more action-based RPG.
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe, but also not really. I'm more saying like the specifics to in one style of game when you level up, the stats that are up that are increased are randomized.
Mhm.
But in the other type of RPG, you choose what values that the points go into.
Yeah, so to frame it
So-
that way, it's
So like in Final Fantasy VII or like a Pokemon, when you level up, your stats just increase arbitrarily or like randomly, or it's already
I
decided
think
for
it's
you.
like a set thing.
It's like decided
Yeah,
for
per
you.
that character. Yeah.
Whereas a more Western RPG or like an action RPG, your Clear Obscures, your Souls, you choose what stat you increase.
and see the idea of a role-playing game.
I don't know
that-
if I find that to be true.
Well, think about like again going back to the role-playing. You're playing another character. I see that also as stretching to you decide how your character progresses. So, for example, something like Clair Obscure.
Yeah.
You're not really. I mean, like you're leveling up and you're getting improved, but you decide basically what points are getting leveled up.
Like
even
you
if you're not.
increase your strength, you want to
Yeah.
increase your luck.
And even though that's
health.
separate from being able to create your character, make dialogue choices, define who they are in the world itself, you're role playing in the sense of how just mechanically your
And
character is coming out.
The reason I like that thought sprouted in my mind spurs from like that D&D thing, where in D&D you choose what stat you want increased.
Yeah.
Connor's brought it up several times, and we mentioned it in the Game Awards breakdown episode of the dialogue choices, making narrative choices, and stuff like that. While that is certainly a component in a lot of RPGs, mostly in Western RPGs, your Mass Effects, your Elder Scrolls, things like that, I don't really hold a lot of water in that part of the conversation because I think that can be an element, yes, but that isn't what hardcore defines RPG. To me, it does mean the stat page is important. God of War Ragnarok. There's a stat page and then there's like a skill page. But
Sure.
the skill page matters a lot more than the stat
More than
page.
the stats. The
You know?
stats are like numbers that you see go up,
Yeah.
but like you're more
You're not really focused on them.
They're
You're
going up
more-
and either way.
You're more interested in getting the next ability.
right, but that's not necessarily tied to like you leveling up and increasing. It's more just tied to your armor.
Yeah.
That you have equipped, right?
Yeah, well,
Like-
leveling up does do that, but yes, the armor plays a
Sure.
major point in that. And so, like, that is the difference sort of between an action adventure game and a modern action RPG.
Sure.
Is the difference is that I don't hold a lot of weight for the dialogue stuff because I think there are other games that are so dialogue and narrative based that function goes more to them than it does for RPGs. If role playing meant the surface level of the word, if it meant that for the genre of game, then Dispatch is an RPG, and Dispatch just quite frankly isn't an RPG.
I think I heard this conversation.
But that's isolating it to a game that just has dialogue options, ignoring all of the other things that still make an RPG.
But
Yeah.
there's been those have existed throughout all of video games.
Yeah, but again, in role-playing games, RPGs, I see that as more leading to varied outcomes rather than just say a different thing to get a different response in return.
right. But I'm going to counter that with I think the dialogue thing is a newer thing that has come along. I say newer, like last 20 years.
Yeah.
But the RPG, what we know as an RPG in video games, has been what I'm defining as is, and it was usually like blank slate characters or just characters that you're leveling up and attaching equipment to. Like Final Fantasy 1 through 3, you're not playing characters, you're just playing classes.
Well, I mean, that's to strengthen my point. Going before those were even really a common thing, you have the text-based adventures. That's entirely about, or heavily about, what you're saying
Yeah.
in the world
But
itself.
those aren't RPGs.
But they're a big element. Well, I mean, they're the same concept of wanting to role play.
Those are adventure games.
That's a choose your own adventure book.
Yeah, but this is in the space of video games back when they're still like.
I'm telling you, those are adventure games.
Yeah, they're adventure.
You just don't see those anymore.
Like literally the game Adventure.
But there's still ones where you would decide, like you would say things more than just decide action.
Those are adventure games.
Yeah. What you're describing is the video game.
Because see, that's the problem. With, like what. You still have adventure games now.
The closest analog you have to adventure games are those Telltale style games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the closest analog you have to those. You don't really see adventure games anymore. Those aren't really.
I think that's too limiting for what adventure games are, though.
I'm just telling you what the fact was 30 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And adventure as a game genre has been absorbed by action adventure and RPGs. Yeah. Like all of those elements got cut up and sort of separated into other genres and absorbed in other genres because that element worked better for those genres.
I see.
And the adventure genre wasn't that interesting of a genre, and that's why it got divvied up.
Well, even so, I guess my point still stands where that is still a big part of RPGs in addition to all of the other things. Again, to go back to the conversation that started all of this, like what is a superior RPG? I think that's an element that if you're going to be, when you look at all of the elements of what you're able to do in an RPG, again, we'll use the basic example for this year, Clear Obscure and Kingdom Come Deliverance, you do every single thing you're capable of doing in making it, in what makes Clear Obscure an RPG, you can do in Kingdom Come Deliverance, in addition to being a lot more dialogue heavy and dialogue option heavy. So it's still, I just can't. I think RPGs it really matters what you can say and what outcomes you can affect with what you say specifically.
So, Connor, I think I'm discovering what the perspective is difference between you and me, and it's the same difference that made us clash on the open world discussion and what makes an open world video game, right? And it's to me, it's if you took that element away from the game, does it change the genre? And to you, it's if you add that element to the game, it now becomes that genre. Rather is what the difference in perspective is. Because to me, to the dialogue perspective of it, if you ripped dialogue choices out of an RPG, but it had all the other stuff out of it, then it's still an RPG.
Yeah.
Right? But if you added that dialogue element to a different style of game, it doesn't make it an RPG. So that's just like an element that could be in a thing, but isn't normally a thing.
I'm saying that's a major enhancement of making it an RPG. And I revert back to the conversation of the only reason why we really...
I don't see it as an enhancement. I see it as a choice.
But yeah.
I really,
because like personas are some of the greatest and most detailed and most nerdy RPGs that you could ever play. They don't really have dialogue choices.
They do, and those matter to how
not
you
really.
They matter specifically how to build your relationship with other characters.
Yeah, but like you're not making a character out of that. You're just trying to maximize the points that you can get out of
a social interaction.
Yeah, in my social interactions, right? Like I want. If this is my party, Tavin, Phil, and Connor, and Tavin's the main character because of course he is, and I'm in my social link relationship with Connor. I want Connor to perform the best he can in combat. So I'm going to say whatever dialogue option I think will give me the most points out of Connor. That's not making a dialogue choice. That's just me putting in the work to make the game.
I feel like that's less so like, oh, my character would say this. That's more so I want the most points out of this interaction
versus a Mass Effect.
And that totally makes sense. But then I get to the core of my argument, which is the only reason why
support conversation.
Because you say the stat page is what matters the most for deciding an RPG.
Yeah.
The issue with that I find is that, again, going back to the term JRPG,
the only issue with it is as if he didn't agree with me in the episode when I said it, but okay. What? But I understand things can change. You can add nuance to it. And we're getting real nerdy with it.
We are, yeah. JRPG, focus on the RPG aspect. You just add a J to it, right? The only reason we do that and add it to the same genre is because one side of the game development said, well, you're a JRPG. And developers wouldn't even necessarily call their games RPGs. They were just making video games. And the framing of what exactly that means was put upon them by us. And so all of this conversation we're having is from the perspective of one where it's like an engineered
You're combining
genre.
You're combining a couple of different conversations here.
Yeah,
Can you singular? Can you focus in on what you're trying to say there?
Like my argument basically is that JRPGs aren't RPGs; they're their own things, and we only consider it RPGs because one side of the whole
JRPG. What do you mean?
Like the kind of same thing you're thinking of. Most times it's like turn-based combat. Turn-based combat where you don't really specify how your character is being upgraded. You just automatically level up your stats. And that all of a sudden became, well, that's equivalent to what the Fallouts do, where you're making dialogue options, you're specifically planning out how your character's tree is, your character stats sheet is being expanded, specifically putting points into, let's say vigor or endurance or whatever hell the stat might be, in addition to having dialogue options and deciding which weapons you do that can fundamentally change how the game is played. Where when you change weapons in an RPG, very often it's just visual and numbers-based.
If leveling up is the only way in which your character is improving, then I would agree with you that form of a video game is lesser of an RPG and just a weird, like, turn-based action game at that point. But most RPGs of that ilk, and I'm going to continue to call them turn-based RPGs because this is what we're talking about, usually have other functions to them. The equipment page, in Final Fantasy VII, it's the materia page. It's a different. They usually have multiple systems garnering onto that, to where you can drastically change the build of whatever character you're working on.
And that's my thing, because that's more felt in ones where you're not in turn-based combat, when you're actually swinging the weapon, when you're interacting with different types of enemies. Because,
what do you think Final Fantasy VII is?
What?
Final Fantasy VII is that?
The new one.
You have no. The old one.
The old one.
You have an equipment page. You got a materia page.
No,
pages
you do. I'm just saying, when you change from the Buster Sword all the way to the best weapon, what's changing? You're still pressing the attack. But you're still pressing the attack option. Yeah. You're still doing limit breaks. The game fundamentally doesn't control differently. And with how you're interacting with an enemy, you just press the attack function, and it's a higher number because it's a better weapon.
RPGs.
Unless you're putting a magic materia and you want to use a different magic spell.
Yeah, and see, that's
because you're fighting a boss that is weak to magic, and your build of Cloud has been physical based the whole time. Oh, now I got to switch it up because I'm having trouble with this boss fight. I mean, that's how RPG. I'm going to heavily manipulate my stat page to benefit me in this moment.
I see.
That's where the RPG-ness of that game comes from.
I'd like to really quick read what Google has to say about
Google AI
between JRPG and RPG. An RPG, role-playing game, is a broad genre where you play a role, while a JRPG, Japanese RPG, is a subgenre defined by its origin, Japan, and specific stylistic traits like linear, story-focused narratives, anime aesthetics, preset characters, often turn-based combat, and themes of friendship and destiny.
The thematic and all the cultural stuff there, I agree with, but the problem with the JRPG moniker to me is that people use it in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
A lot of people use it in a derogatory way, and that's what bothers me about it, is because usually they just mean it to put down turn-based combat, which I don't appreciate, because then also you get out of Japan, like Clair Obscur Expedition. That's not a JRPG by heavy definition, but it is a turn-based RPG.
And it has more similarities with a JRPG than what we usually associate with being a Western RPG. Yeah, but just because it's turn-based, that's still just a major aspect of what differentiates those two.
Then why are we saying JRPG?
That's my point.
We have other and better terms.
That's my issue. Because
I think his point is he just wants to do away with the term of JRPG.
Unless we're literally talking about a Japanese RPG. In which case, you have to throw away the turn-based element, because Final Fantasy 16 is not a turn-based RPG. Fucking a From Software game is a Japanese RPG, but it's not a JRPG. JRPG should go away, and it should be called a Japanese RPG, much like a Western RPG or an American RPG, a French RPG. Now, we can go down the list. Because we're not gonna apply acronyms to every fucking country that makes an RPG. We're just
FRPG.
Confusing. JRPG needs to go away, and also, I do believe
it's just so in the what's the word, the norm of it's so ubiquitous. It's such a ubiquitous term. Everybody uses it. Everybody.
I also do believe that people who operate with prejudice use it as a microaggression against the Japanese people. That's that weird JRPG stuff. It's got that weird pervy anime shit to it. I don't like that.
Which I guess to counter that, some people do the opposite, where they're like, "This is a JRPG." I don't like those Baka Gaijin Western RPGs. That kind of attitude.
Yes, Connor, but
that's become more common than it was when the term first was coined. I get what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm in favor of throwing that term away.
But someone who uses it in the way that I'm talking about
is
affects the culture and the conversation way more than the people who you're talking about.
Mhm.
Being negative, being hateful, having bigotry in your conversation does more damage than us being supportive of the term, because it's the term that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know? And so as much as we want to reclaim that term, or as much as some Japanese developers have chosen to reclaim that term, I'm cool with that. And if they are unified in that opinion, great. The problem is they're not. From everything that we've seen. So I would rather us just, let's us as culture commentators of people who want to have elevated conversations about video games, let's do away with that and let's use smarter language.
I'm down for that.
Because nobody's going to be confused if we say turn-based RPG. Someone is going to go, what's a JRPG?
Yeah.
And how is X game a JRPG? Dying out?
Are you?
I don't know. I just didn't hear myself for a second.
Your microphone?
Yeah,
I can still
yeah.
hear you.
I've
just
heard you
fine.
the entire time.
We are using the microphones right out of the box. They are battery powered, so if we have to stop at some point and figure something else out, we will. Anyways,
I've heard you the whole time.
thank you. If JRPG is in reference to a turn-based RPG, then how is South Park: The Sixth Truth not a JRPG? Now we know why, but someone else will be confused,
Yeah.
right? How is Clair Obscur Expedition 33 not a JRPG? Now we know why, but someone else will be confused. And on the opposite side of that spectrum, how is a Final Fantasy 15, 16 yes or no a JRPG? Like, it's just too confusing. It's a confusing term, you know? Now, if we want to say it in cultural ways of, it's got some anime-based stylings, it usually has themes of
Friendship and destiny.
and, you know, you fight God at the end of the game with the power of friendship, you know? Then, okay, we can start having that conversation because that's a stylistic choice.
Your Final Fantasy.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And then we just have to also, like, you know, if people use that in a negative way, we have to, you know, be like, hey, don't do that. You know, call the bigotry out when you see it, type thing. I just think the term JRPG has been poisoned a little bit. Not to the point of where it's like the N-word, because clearly I'm willing to use one and not the other.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's the worst word.
yeah.
Mulaney.
But it's that term has been poisoned a little bit, and I would rather retire it and just put the more syllables in and say, oh, it's a Japanese RPG.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese ass game. You know?
I think for the sake of clarity, I think it's fine to add the extra syllables in there. For the sake of clarity.
Great. What's an ARPG?
No, I'm
TRPG.
saying it's worth it. That's what I'm agreeing with you.
The syllables of putting Japanese.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
No.
the acronym part
It's having-
of it.
Open your ears before you open your mouth. Okay, buddy?
Fucking just came right at me.
Came right at you. Just like,
No, I was just I was going to make a point because you
Yeah.
may have said action or American or something. I was going Austrian.
Austrian.
So yeah, there's that.
well,
At this point, there are so many. Jumbo Cod 91 on the same video says, at this point, there are so many games that call themselves RPGs that the label doesn't even mean anything anymore. How are Oblivion, Mass Effect, KCD, E33, and Elden Ring in the same category? It makes no sense. We kind of touched on this a little bit already. It's the focus on the stats to me. The stats matter just as much as the gameplay does.
our bigger conversation was, do you control those stats in how they develop, or do they just happen? You know?
Yeah.
And
Right. Whereas
it could be either one.
a Devil May Cry, when you level up in Devil May Cry, it's just I'm just stronger now.
Just numbers go up. You don't choose how they go up. They just do. I think I look at that as more associated with a Japanese RPG.
I didn't catch that. What was that?
I said I look at that as more associated with a Japanese style RPG.
Having control of the numbers?
And not having control of the numbers.
Not having control of the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
More consistently, that's the case.
I just also
of course,
think
there's an exception to every rule. I'm just saying that's really generalizing how that is. And
I just think outside of what the Atlas teams have been doing, that form of RPG has been kind of going away. Maybe I'm wrong.
Fire Emblem,
Metaphor.
Well, Fire Emblem's
Pokemon.
Fire Emblem's a tactics RPG.
Yeah, it just has elements that definitely Persona use, mainly your relationship building.
But I'm just
going
saying,
around
like,
a hub area.
In
I
terms
guess
of
y'all named like 3 back to back. So
when you level up in Fire Emblem, you don't choose where the stats go, or where the numbers in the stats go.
In fact, I think that's the case where it is random.
Exactly.
Doesn't seem to be set on a path.
Well, it's not random. It's a set path
No,
for that.
in
character.
Fire Emblem, it is legitimately random.
It might be. I'm trying to.
Is it not? It should be.
It might be more. Some characters might be more
So
inclined to level a certain stat, or maybe you have a certain set of equipment that levels a certain stat more. But it is legitimately just RNG.
So in 3 houses, when Edelgard levels up, she's, I don't remember exactly. I'm going to say for the sake of the argument, she's attack focused, right?
Yeah.
So her level ups are more focused around attack than like intelligence or whatever the magic stat is.
Sure, and it might be more.
And so that's a
focused
set. That's a set path that they have. They have
but
set
it's a
for
different. It's a different like number. Like you could have just a shitty level up,
So
and like you get one.
Oh sure, but the
increase
path
instead.
is set.
No. It is random. It's just based off of the percentage of how likely they are to have a certain stat increase. But it is completely random, which is why sometimes you could really just
Yeah.
Okay.
It's why I think one of the bigger issue with the older Fire Emblem games is you can run in very commonly to the problem of character didn't level up properly enough, and now he's useless.
And
when those harder games.
They've tuned it a little bit more for the modern ones.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
But it's like, let's say Edelgard, right?
We're just making smarter games.
You have
or more accessible games.
They're more accessible. They're smarter. They like, let's say you have a 90% chance to level up strength here.
Yeah.
But you have like a 10% chance to level up intelligence, right?
Got you.
And so maybe you'll get 2 points in strength and 1 in intelligence, or you'll get like 3 in strength and none in intelligence, or like it never goes up that high.
See, in my head, I always thought it was at level 5, Edelgard gets these number of points in these stats.
It is just legitimately just randomized.
3 houses in particular does a good job of letting people know that without saying it, because they give the audio cue of, well, that's disappointing, or they're like, I'm fired up, or something like
depending
that.
Depending on if it was a good level up or maybe just a middling level
up.
The character's reaction will be like, nice.
They did definitely start doing that in Awakening. I know that, but I have no real experience beyond that at all. Before that, so
I don't know about the voice lines, but I want to say might have been one of those like DS titles.
No, that's Awakening. Was
Awakening.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. That's I was saying I don't know if it went earlier.
Awakening.
I didn't know if maybe it went even earlier in like
Genealogy
Path
of the Holy
Radiance.
War.
No, I don't. It was definitely was not Genealogy. There's like no voice in that game at all.
Right.
But, I mean, the first one with voice acting in it was Path of Radiance with Ike for GameCube. And I don't know if they had level up voice lines or not.
Buy the game and find out. It's expensive. It's very expensive. Yeah.
I mean, I imagine eventually we'll get that on NSO. You know,
which one?
Nintendo Online
Nintendo Switch Online.
Nintendo Switch.
Which one?
Path of Radiance, the GameCube one.
Oh, probably. Is it not already?
No. Well, we have like 4 or 5 different GameCube games.
Oh, okay.
Right now,
but they've announced like a slate, and they just haven't given them to us yet. Because I thought I saw Fire Emblem in there.
Yes and no.
Oh, okay.
People are taking the background image whenever they announced it, and they're like, "Oh, we're getting this game. We're getting this game. We're getting this game." But they never actually announced any of them.
Okay. I mean, if it's a first-party Nintendo game, you can probably assume
pretty good idea
that they own the rights for.
I think right now we have like Chibi Robo, Mario Strikers,
the classics.
And there's probably like 2 or 3 more, but I just can't think of it.
Did I play Chibi Robo recently? I feel like I have. I have not.
GameCube is like a weird blind spot for me because like I've got
that was the first console that was just mine.
Yeah, see that the GameCube was the last console that I went to the friend's house to play.
Yeah,
you know, because then I mean I always had a PS2, but then like I had a Wii, I had a PS3, I had a 360, I had a PS4, I had an Xbone, I had from there on, GameCube was like the last one of like, oh, I go over to Daniel's house for that. Shout out Daniel, love you, buddy. And so to me, the GameCube is Smash Melee, Sunshine, Double Dash. And then from there it gets tricky. Luigi's Mansion, and then from there it gets tricky. Like I don't
Kirby Air
have an
Riders.
affinity to
Kirby
the
Air Ride.
I don't have an
Kirby's
affinity to the Air Ride. I don't have affinity to Red Dude. That isn't Mario.
Beautiful Joe.
Beautiful Joe. I don't
beautiful.
I corrected myself. I don't have any perspective on that. I mean, a little bit on like Super Mario Strikers and tennis and stuff like that, but like. Yeah, there's a lot of like entries in that console that I've just got a bit of a blind spot for.
It was a good Mario Golf game on GameCube.
Oh yeah, I know. I love those Mario sports games back when I was.
I miss plugging in
friends.
controllers into the. I miss the 4 slots, man.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. I understand why we don't have it anymore, but you know, it's just man. You know,
wireless.
Everything's wireless, and also nobody plays split screen anymore.
Yeah,
all online now.
Oh,
We've lost something.
I didn't mention it.
culturally
I
on
didn't mention it on the piggy bank. I should have, but I got the Power Wash Simulator 2 Platinum with
that.
my
Fuck
wife.
yeah.
The what
Great
thing?
game.
With my
Game of
wife.
the year.
Oh,
Power Wash Simulator 2
not the best.
Platinum.
But
So
Yeah.
fucking good.
I was like, this feels like the final level. I didn't
Yeah.
like check it, but like the $30,000 reward.
Yeah,
I was
you're
"Oh,
like, that's a lot.
This is a lot. This is a
This
lot.
Not as many like weird kooky levels this time around. I
No.
felt. You know? There were more levels, but
I think my favorite one was that Funhouse.
I like the Funhouse a lot. Yeah. There's a lot.
That's the one that I like. I literally DM'd you on Discord. I was like, this is peak Power Wash.
And this is why, like, when I finished Power Wash, I was like, shit, they got me emotionally. It's because they do the flashbacks of all the episodes and then the cutscene of him walking out,
Yeah.
and the fireworks and
I
everything.
was like, there's a fucking cutscene? What
yeah,
the fuck?
100%. I was like, whoa. So yeah, they got me emotionally on that one. I
They
was
did
like,
all,
look at all
like,
my hard
the
work.
text messages and everything.
Yeah. It
It
was good
nice.
stuff. It was good stuff.
I also like that in the credits, they did all of the time lapses. Or like they a lot of them.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily do all of them for us, but
They did.
like it would just show like the clean product. It didn't
yeah.
actually do
that,
the
that
time
when
lapse.
that went because as I was getting to the end of the game, I was like, man, I was really looking forward to like the wacky like ancient temple stuff. And there's like a couple,
Yeah.
but there was definitely more like crazy ancient times levels
In the first one,
which
yeah.
were all my favorite stuff. Or there were like kookier levels like the witch's boot.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just less of that in 2.
Mhm.
But when they did do the time lapse through all of them, I was like, oh, I loved that level. Oh, that level was
Yep.
fantastic. Oh, that was also a great level. So like, yeah, Power Wash 2 is better than 1.
I agree.
And I want to talk about Power Wash Simulator 1 and 2. Mainly because, Tavin, we always have our agreements and disagreements and in between and so off when we talk about video games.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to Power Wash, I'm not criticizing your love for the game.
I'm waiting for the backhanded compliment here.
No, there's not. No.
It might just be a backhand.
In a way, it is because those games, from a critical perspective, because you come at it from a critical perspective,
Yeah.
are overblown by you. And I know I touched on this when you kind of
84 on
jokingly
OpenCritic.
did what
84 on OpenCritic.
Open 84. Hey, the game. And my criticism is not of the game systems,
Yeah.
how well it plays.
One of the
stuff
high.
you're able
I
to
mean,
do
it's
there.
one of the higher reviewed games of the year.
Yeah, and I
Not-
understand.
by far not the highest.
I understand why, but I have to question the highness of that rating based off how you sing its prices as much as you do. And
He's 10 out of 10 on it.
What?
He's 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
on it.
and that's my issue, where you watch The Rookie while you're playing that fucking game. You listen, but even beyond that, you listen to podcasts, music, whatever you would do to enhance yourself. Those are not aspects of the video game. They're completely separate that you have to bring in to increase the level of enjoyment you have while playing it. A lot of other games, whereas they demand your time and demand your focus, maybe not necessarily because it's, you have to focus on just playing the game, otherwise you're going to lose, but just to gain maximum satisfaction out of the game, to gain any satisfaction out of the game, you're engaging with just the systems that the game gives you. With Power Wash Simulator, when you bring in an external factor, you're no longer just judging it on the merits of the game. It's an experience, which is nice, but it's because it's so separate from the game itself. And my a counter to this would be to increase it, to add an option, even if it's the way you connect with your app on your phone or whatever, to play an audiobook or music, and it's a feature that's directly tied into the game to allow you to do that in the game. Unless that's present, you kind of have to dock some points because it's requiring an external factor to keep your attention on this game. Because imagine if you played Power Wash Simulator, with as good as it is. How would your experience change if you just couldn't listen to anything else going on around and you're just holding controller, washing buildings? Still fun, still good quality game, but would it be as hot? Would it be a 10 out of 10? Would Power Wash Simulator 1 be a 9 out of 10?
Before you respond to that, I would like to make the point that while I did for like maybe the first 3 or 4 play by myself, and I did have something playing in the background, for the rest of the game, it was just me and my wife, and we were just talking and playing, and that doesn't necessarily disprove your point because like
Good date night.
Yeah, we were just talking and like power washing, and like sometimes she would like sneak up behind me and drop a gnome in front of me.
And
but like, and I'm not even necessarily disproving your point that like you need more stuff going on for it to be a better game. But like, I didn't really have that much external stimuli outside of just me having a conversation with my wife and playing a game.
And see, before I get to
And
your
to
point,
Connor's
Devin,
point, I'm higher on the game than you are because
Yeah.
I was doing that.
Yeah, but see, so yeah, exactly. Because what you're talking about it makes sense because it's a co-op game, a couch co-op game, so that's inherently an aspect of the game.
Yeah.
It's an avenue of it. It's just you have to bring in a TV with
Give it an 8.
with a streaming service on it, or you have to have a phone with a subscription account to play an audio book or to play any kind of podcast. That immediately takes it away from the game and onto something else. And great, because that enhances the experience of the game. I'm not criticizing your placement of it.
Yeah.
But it's the from the objective position of how we rate games on this podcast. Yeah. I just don't see that as being an aspect.
I feel you.
Factored into it.
I see your perspective. To me, I say it in like a meme way when I say these things, but I truly am trying my best to be an absolute true lover of the medium of video games.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, I always gauge art of any kind, really anything. It doesn't have to, well, I mean, what is art? That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I gauge art based off of what was the intention and then what was the execution of that. Power Wash Simulator 2 falls into a colloquial known term of cozy game. This is a cozy game, right?
Yeah.
And the idea behind a cozy game is that, this is something relaxing, something not too strenuous, something that does not require immediate input. And so
Has a pause button.
Has a pause button. And you know what's funny? They don't need pause buttons.
But like it also like doesn't really, because you can see stuff going on around you whenever you pause the game.
I think that's the online function of it, maybe. I don't know. I would have to look closer because I don't know. And so, to me, a lot of cozy games are crafted with the intention of there is a secondary thing happening in the background, something to relax, something that satisfies the player or makes the player enjoy their life. A podcast, an audiobook, a music, a TV show in the background. Something that, I've been meaning to get to that, but I don't want to apply X amount of time because time is so limited, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to play a video game because that's my medium of choice, is I prefer to play a video game over everything else. I would not have watched four seasons of The Rookie without Power Wash Simulator 2. Do you say, that increases Power Wash? No, that makes The Rookie better.
Yeah.
Power Wash made The Rookie tolerable. Right? And so to me, it's not so much of like, it's an outside thing improving the game. It's the intention of the game is to have something else going on as well.
Yeah.
But because Power Wash is also a game without music. So there's nothing to listen
really
to other than the Power Wash in it.
It's the sound of the water hitting whenever you're shooting.
See, and then again, that adds to my criticism of the game itself. Why aren't you having your own music? Why are you requiring?
That's fine. What music would you apply to a Power Wash Simulator game?
That's the cool thing. That's what video games is.
It would be something. It'd be lo-fi jams or something.
I think of
like
if I know you guys didn't have. I think you did for a little bit, but the like lo-fi like music of Yote. Not Kurosawa. But
I didn't like that. I didn't like that mode nearly as much as I thought I was going to.
I regret how much I had it on because I kind of wish I had more of the actual in-game music. Playing.
It works well being blended.
I ended up just settling on the extra mud, but I think even I turned that off because the mud was ridiculous.
Yeah, I wish I had just waited until I was like done with the game to turn that on.
So to me, Connor, if what I perceive to be the intention of the game is the game saying, hey, we've crafted this experience for you in order to open you up and have a different kind of experience than you would get from an action game or a more narrative-based game or anything like that. If that is what I perceive to be the intention of the game, then that is where the points are coming from, is how successful were you in that? When we did the game club review of Hades is a podcast game. I think Hades is a decent podcast game, but it's not as good of a podcast game as a Power Wash Simulator 2 or an Animal Crossing would be, right? It does come across.
Damn it!
I think it's a battery thing.
Because my
vision.
Here. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. So my point being is like I made the comparison to Hades, and Power Wash Simulator 2 is a better quote unquote podcast game. Like being a podcast game is or fill in podcast with whatever you want. That's a part of the game. That is part of the intention of the game. And so if they execute on that, that's where the points come from. Listen, Power Wash Simulator 2, I believe is a 10 out of 10 video game because Power Wash Simulator 2 goes out to achieve a thing, and in my opinion, they achieve it as best as they can. Or at least for as far as I've ever seen in that thing. Now, should you listen to a simulation review from someone who has played a very small amount of simulation games? There's probably someone out there on the internet that provides better reviews. So maybe Power Wash Simulator 2 is not a 10 out of 10 for them. Go listen to them. It is my opinion that Power Wash Simulator 2 is a 10 out of 10 because what they go out to achieve is executed on at the highest level.
I know a lot of this, again, going back to the first time we had this conversation, comes to me as a person and you as a person where you like to have that extra auditory stimuli, even in like games like Dark Souls. I don't. I hate that. And in fact, part of the reason why I don't join in my friend's voice chat when I'm playing my own single-player game, because the last thing I want is, even if it's a casual conversation, is somebody talking in my ear while I'm trying to focus on the game itself.
Well, then, Connor, clearly you're just not a true lover of the medium like myself.
Well, see, I'm actually even more so of one, because I'm playing.
No, that's bullshit.
The game.
No,
I'm
because
playing
you are putting a limit on what a video game can be.
No, I'm stripping down to the elements of the video game, not the other thing that comes in to enhance the video game, but the video game system itself.
But my counter to that is, Connor, is if you decide to play Power Wash Simulator and not have music or a podcast or something playing in the background, it was their intention to craft a game that you were doing that. So you are limiting yourself and then deducting points of the game because of a choice you made.
Well, it's not even a matter of just what I make.
It'd be like if I played Final Fantasy VII and said, that materia stuff, ugh.
But
Who
you
wants
actually
to use that?
You kind of need that to be able to function the game. And if you don't have, again, I could play Power Wash Simulator without any other thing in there if it had music. I'll still do it without it, of course, but why not add music? This is like a standard in a lot of games. You can put it, and again, it's a feature that
because they know music is highly personal and highly subjective, and not everybody wants to listen to the same type of music all the time.
Yeah, so
they give the player the choice to, hey, we're just going to cut this off, play whatever you want.
That's every single game that's ever been made. You just turn down the slider, and therefore you don't have to hear anything they're making, and put whatever you want on.
I do think that is why they have in the options menu for you to be able to turn off like audio,
and that's fine, but not every game has that intention of let's give that player that choice. But in some games, giving the player the choice, I've said before, sometimes the player has too much choice, sometimes the player needs to be have a tailored experience. Power Wash Simulator is just not a game that needs a tailored experience to that level. I think Hades does. Hades should have its own music. A Final Fantasy game should have its own music. Clair Obscur should have its own music. But not every game needs that.
So when you're listening to whatever else you're listening to while you're power washing, do you still hear the power wash sounds?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But see,
that's it. I like that.
Well, and on top of that, I need the dings.
But
the dings are the
I like the dings. I like the sound of just like the water.
I do like the.
It's so
yeah,
good.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me take two scenarios. First of all, is one where you don't have access to any of the things you're saying enhance the game. Immediately, this game becomes a lot inferior than you built it up in your mind. Again, when you take away external stimuli, because the other part of this is you cannot focus.
Just for the purpose of your argument, clarify, why would you not have access to things?
Life is life. You just not have something. You can have an internet access to listen to music or listen to any kind of podcast. You might not be able to listen to music on a phone in any kind of given scenario.
Why would you just not have these things?
For whatever reason.
If you have the money for electricity, a TV, a console / PC, you don't also have access to a free service like YouTube through the internet?
Yeah, what if you're a guy that
for
just
a downloadable game?
That's my point. What if you're just a guy who wants to play a video game? You don't have much at all in terms of money, in terms of property, and you just want to have a TV and a game console to plug in and then play a game there.
I just want to talk about how Connor, Dark Souls doesn't need a pause button. Elliott talked about life is life with video games.
It is, yeah. But
there's a lot of life is life that has to do with why Dark Souls needs a pause button.
Again, I've said that I'm a purist on that front. I've never tried to say, no, you can't have a pause button because that makes it an inferior game. It's just I'm a purist.
If you are stripped down to that level financially, you should be selling your PlayStation.
But that's my point, is that when we talk about, and the best counter, I'm going to counter my argument, is this is one of the benefits of the medium of video games, that you're able to do something else and have something else going on at the same time you're playing the video game.
In 2025, it's just not realistic to say somebody is so like if somebody told you I don't have internet, you would look at them weird.
I guess part of the point of why I'm saying if you don't have another element, and that's immediately just what the game offers you, is that when you strip it, when you're talking about it as an art form, and you solely focus on the art of a video game, it becomes inferior when you have to have something else come into play to enhance that experience.
It's not enhancing that experience.
It is enhancing that experience because that's, again, no, let me finish my point, because you as a human being...
you put a period at the end of your sentence and then cut me off, but okay.
Fair enough. But when you're doing two things at the same time, your focus is split. You're no longer unified on this one thing. You're immediately entertained by the show or the podcast and entertained by the video game. I get your point of it's a cozy game, you're supposed to do that, but I'm just rejecting the notion of when you're like, well, this is like the best game of the year. If you're talking from an objective standpoint, I'm thinking in terms of like the game club. I would be pissed, and I'd almost refuse to vote on a game if you were like, this is above so many other video games, even though when you're coming at me with a review, you're like, well, I'm listening to my podcast that I like at the same time. It's like, well,
but Hades got bonus points for me because it's a good podcast.
But he's also obviously being hyperbolic when he says that it's the game of the year.
Well, his game of the year.
No, it's not his game of the year.
Well, we'll see.
It's not.
Next week.
It's not.
Next week,
ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that's going to be Claire Obscure, but
he's
tap
being
in next week.
He's being hyperbolic. I think Power Wash will be his number 3.
Tap in next week.
I think it's number 2. But
make sure you like and subscribe.
Something that will be seen. It's more.
I don't want to live in a world where Tavin put Power Wash Simulator above. Not like look. If it is his number 1, I don't want to live in a world where he has it above Claire Obscure, X-Person 33, and Hades 2.
And people like simulation games. Way. People just like to play them sometimes.
There's just no
Maybe
way.
Tavin just got a little bit of that bug in him.
My thing is Connor, if someone finds the loop of something like Power Wash Simulator satisfying,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to do that action in real life, but they don't want to because that's annoying and boring and laborious, right?
Where are the dings?
We get
and
paid.
the dings add an element.
The ding
to it,
is
right?
money.
But like the flats that are blocking out the windows behind you, I had music and podcasts on when crafting that. Did that take away from the experience and the satisfaction I got from crafting the things? No, I had the same level of satisfaction of like, oh yeah, I did that with the music playing.
Video
right?
games are
and Power Wash Simulator elicits the same thing, or cozy games that allow you, the player, to have something else on in the background. Do that. It's quite simple, Connor. Depending on the game, the allowance of those things is kind of the point.
Mm-hmm. But and that's what I was saying
Whereas
earlier.
like God of War Ragnarok, if you turned a podcast on while I'm doing most of God of War Ragnarok, I'd be annoyed. Turn that shit off. I'm trying to listen to Kratos. You know? It's the intention of the craft is what I'm talking about. And you're just negating that. You're negating the intention based off of this singular put in a box view that you have on video games.
Again, this is the issue is when you start adding what you're saying, enhancers, in any other video game, you would say, well, I have to have something else on to make these gameplay elements sing more, to be more entertaining. And when you bring this up earlier, that is an art form, building things.
Yeah.
But video games are also entertainment. They're art and entertainment at the same exact time. And to all of a sudden bring in another form of entertainment limits that as a piece of entertainment.
I mean, quite frankly, the first 20
Not
hours,
as an art.
the first 20, I think the first, well, maybe not the first 20, because I just did turn on an audiobook of Harry Potter at the time. But like the first 10 to 15 hours of Power Wash Simulator 1, when I played on Xbox Game Pass on PC, I played with just the game playing. And I was like, and I came to you in that review and said, yo, I've been playing this. This is fucking awesome. And then I turned on an audiobook, and then I turned on a podcast, and then I turned on music. You know, like.
Yeah, and I would still.
Listen. The Rookie's not good. And I watched 4 seasons of it because I was doing something else that is good that also allowed me to ingest another type of media.
Flop.
You know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep saying, oh, it's making Power Wash better. It's making The Rookie would have made Power Wash worse if that were the case. No, It's the other way around. The game makes the other art better.
But again, this is getting into just humans. You might think otherwise, but humans can really.
I'm just a busy fucking dude.
Yeah.
I don't have time to sit and watch television. I don't. I have a medium of choice that I prefer, and that's video games. Video games take up an obscene amount of time to play and enjoy. But it's what I want. I want to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play a video game. And I also want to listen to music, get through these podcasts, watch the TV. So when the desire for one of these other things becomes great enough to where I'm like, I'm split or conflicted, but I want to do the act of playing a game, cozy games are there for you. That is the intention behind them. It is for people
So
who want to do other things than just play games.
That's fair.
It is just dependent on the game, Connor.
The gamer, more
Game.
so.
No,
More the gamer,
because
because
it's dependent upon the game. Because if it were dependent on the gamer, then I would just play something else.
Mhm.
But I still want to do the act of playing a video game, and now the game has given me the ability
function.
to do multiple things at once.
Yeah.
The bigger issue with this is when,
Why can't? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
in the context of our game club, which is how I've been framing a lot of things. I know it's not the best to rank games, what is the best, and it's
Power
different depending on
Simulator's
each
not gonna
person.
go
Power
anywhere near
Simulator
the
doesn't
Game
have
Club.
influence on the fucking industry. It's not going to rank top 10. It's just not. No matter how much I fucking love it personally.
I mean,
It's
I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you say it's a greater quality game than one that demands you to play the game rather than another thing at the same time, but you would say, well, because this game is, more fun because it's built for that, it's better. But again, you're reducing the art form.
But there's also
by
so
having to
much
include another
more to
one.
Power Wash. Like
See,
it is the gameplay loop, the systems, the getting the better equipment, the level designs, the how fun and kooky and creative the levels get, and all
Yes.
of that. Like all of that also comes into account here. Like when it comes to, hey, when they said I'm going out and I'm making a Power Wash simulator game, okay, well, how did you go about it? How well did you go about it? Hey, they fucking nailed it. You know,
They do a lot of like jokes about like some people's names or like puns and stuff.
Yeah. And also, like, why can't I flip your argument on its head and point it the other way? Hey, God of War Ragnarok is a lesser game because I can't enjoy something else at the same time.
Because that's not what you're supposed to be. Because
The game-
this is the inclusion
game,
of another piece of entertainment.
to do.
That's the issue.
Exactly.
Man.
You're a fucking idiot.
That's another thing, dude. It's a
you did-
completely different
You
thing.
literally just
it's a
leaned into
completely
my
different
argument.
thing, dude.
You
know
literally
what?
just
I-
gave
I
my
said-
argument back to me.
All right, hang on. We're getting aggressive. You did.
Tavin's being a whiner is what he does all the time.
No, you're being a conceited little squared off
I'm
bitch.
not being at all. The thing is, you're talking about video games as a high art, but then you include something else to enhance that art. It minimizes it, dude. I mean, and then again, I'm going to play that game when we inevitably play it without any other stupid fucking
Because-
podcast on, listening
okay,
to the kind of
this
funny
is-
blare
this
in my
is
ear.
clearly you
I'm going
just
to do
don't
my
understand
own
what-
thing because I'm here to play video games, not listen to myself talk on a review, but to play a video game. That's what I'm here for.
Clearly, you don't understand what high art is.
You don't know what high art? Dude, you watched The Rookie! You said you could watch TV shows? There are so many good TV shows. You didn't watch that because immediately you would have to pay attention to that,
He's
and it would
getting
take
so
away from the
red.
game itself.
He's very red.
He's very red.
He's very red.
He's
Yeah.
redder than me right now.
He's very red.
No, so okay. Cooler heads will prevail. Reason will prevail.
Reason will prevail. Right.
Fucking. First off, let me just be clear. Power Wash Simulator is not going anywhere near the game club.
It's in the wheel.
The list.
Why?
It's been in the wheel for years.
Oh, well, Phil, I think maybe you're agreeing with me now.
Okay. Anyway,
It's also not going into the top
it's-
15.
there's no
Like,
shot.
what are we
It's
talking
not-
I'm
about here,
not
guys?
talking about top 15.
But-
I'm talking about all the other games that would
But
be ranked above, whatever that might be.
Let me just say, as the third wheel here, you did full on lean into his argument whenever you said that's not the point of that game.
AKA God of War Ragnarok.
Right.
To play something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it requires you to play the game.
That is verbatim his argument for what the point of Power Wash
games
Simulator as
have
opposed to
intentions. Wow, it's happening again.
I think it's happening to mine. No, it's not.
No, it's just his.
Is it a mic problem then?
I don't know. But yeah, it was just it was very funny to me. I know I understand like what you were saying, but it's the fact that that's exactly what Tavin was saying.
Mhm.
And it's like almost like you agreed, but also just like aggressively making it sound like you were disagreeing with him when you were just
You
flat
leaned
out
into my argument
agreeing with
100%.
what he was saying.
And you misunderstand the high art conversation entirely because you're incorporating that to mean like I'm treating.
Like he's not saying that you're like worse than him. He's not.
No,
he's not
well,
saying
he's-
No,
that
I-
you can't appreciate.
Well,
like,
okay.
Oh,
So-
this is
that's
this is
another
fine
topic
art.
altogether.
This Power Wash Simulator
Yeah.
is fine art. You plebeians cannot understand. That's not what he's saying.
Yeah, your perspective on that is I'm trying to treat a Ratchet and Clank like it's a Martin Scorsese movie.
Mm.
And my point is that high art encapsulates so much more than that. Like, and that was my point in the fourth wall video, load bearing fourth wall the penny drop. Please go check that video.
Really good video.
Is like there's so much dynamicism in art and so much like freeformity to it, which is why like I get frustrated at they're just being artsy fartsy. No, there's a point to it, and if
Yeah.
you engage in art in the way that the creator is intending, you might get something really cool.
Even
and neat
beyond
out
what
of
the
it.
creator
And
is.
you as a person make that choice on whether or not you want to engage with it or not, and then maybe that'll affect your opinion on it.
Yeah.
But like
Immersive-
that's your choice to engage with the art or not.
Immersive theater, which is the type of theater that I would say is closest to what video games are as a medium, in which the audience has participation in the show, in the work, right? Could be seen by somebody as a lower form of theater,
Like a magic show.
like a magic show. Could be seen as a lower form of theater than or a stand-up comedy
Sure.
than if I went to go see Les Miserables or something like that, right? But that's simply not engaging in the conversation of high art. What I mean by conversation of high art is let us apply a heavy intellectual microscope onto this piece of art that has been crafted. Let us determine let's all collectively agree on what that piece of art is trying to accomplish, and then how did they go about it, and then how effective was that? That is what the high art conversation
Did
is.
they achieve what they were trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, what were they trying to say? Did they do a good job with it?
And then
my thoughts on that.
taking that conversation to a high intellectual, heavy pretentious level of conversation. That is the point. Now you can throw, you watched The Rookie on me, and again I say, what other video game makes The Rookie good?
Power Simulator 1.
Power Wash Simulator 1, baby. You know, that's the point, and that's the beauty of the interactive medium.
No, I would say Hades would probably make it better.
It does, but there are moments in Hades. There's too much. I have to turn this off to listen to dialogue in Hades, or I have to pause it to. So Hades is really good with music. It's not so good with like television shows or podcasts. You know, it's really good with music though. And so like your perspective is, I have to keep adding something to Power Wash. No, Power Wash is adding itself to the other thing.
Yeah,
is what that was their intention. You know, it's not, we didn't run out of money for music. It's us making music, sure, but like that's not what we're trying to go for. So
they're just gonna mute it anyway and listen.
Yeah, we're not interested. We are not interested in that part of the craft. It's a choice. It's not a you're without it. So that now you can throw the pause conversation in my face again, but and fine. I accept that the no pause in a From Software game is a choice. You know, I just think it's a bad choice because I don't think it adds anything to the game. I think if anything, it just takes away from it.
I do really quick just want to talk about so I have cats. Right?
Yeah.
Fucking it threw me off so hard because in Power Wash Simulator 2, there are cats that come with you to the jobs. And then every once in a while, me and my wife will just be talking, have a conversation, and then all of a sudden we'll hear meow. We're like, is that one of our cats? Or is that in the game?
That's funny.
Like, specifically like the theater.
Yeah.
Where they're in like the projection booth or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, because she didn't believe me. I was like, I swear, there's a cat. There's a cat in the game. It's coming from
this
the
level.
game.
It's in this level. I know it is.
And then all of a sudden, she's like on the ladder on the little what do they call it? The
raising
scissor
platform,
scissor lift.
Yeah.
And then she's cleaning the window off. It's like, oh my god, there's cats in here. I was like, I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. It came from the game. Yeah, that was like another part that like. You know, you talk about you're listening, whatever, and then all of a sudden you hear the cat meowing. And I was like, was that in the show?
Yeah.
Or was that in the game?
Now,
which to that point, wouldn't you not be able to hear that if you're focusing on a TV show and have a moment like that the game gives you?
I mean, you're still hearing the dings. You're still hearing the Power Wash stuff. Like, whatever he's doing. I wasn't watching any shows or anything while I was playing the game.
You were talking. You were
I was
doing
like,
the two-player
conversation.
Like,
but no, it was always like that.
The game is crafted with the intention that you do not have to apply 100% focus to it.
Yeah.
That's a choice that they made. And they made a great game out of it.
It's made for those with ADHD.
So I guess, you know, I'll slightly rephrase my conversation that makes it an inferior game to a lot of others.
No, you're still on this inferior tip. The point of
is to play.
The point of the high art conversation is to see how did they execute on their vision.
Yeah.
Right? Resident Evil 6 fails to execute on their vision, right?
They're trying to do like a badass action game.
Yeah, and it's just and they're also trying to still apply survival horror elements to it, and it's just atrocious.
You know what? You're right, Tavin.
Like that. That is when I'm gonna finish this last thing. And you can tell me why I'm right.
And then you can tell them why I'm right.
Yeah, all right.
What'd you say?
Resident Evil 6 becomes slop because they had an intention, they had a vision, they went out to execute, and they did it very poorly. Like they just didn't do it. That's slop.
Mhm.
Slop is not a low brain or low effort thing. Slop is, this is garbage. Maybe it's fun, but it's garbage, right?
Mhm.
That's slop.
That's where like you come with. There's this category that's like become a big part of the zeitgeist in the last like 5 or so years.
Mhm.
The friend slop game.
Yes.
Your Peak, your Among Us, your like all that kind of thing, where it's just there for you to play with your friends and have a good time, and like the game is like secondary, almost just hanging out with your friends.
Mhm.
Like specifically, I think Peak, and that got nominated for a fucking Game Award
Because of the player interactions.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
course,
You
yeah.
got like,
But you could still play those games with the intention of the game, and it still works. It's
Mhm.
like bowling. Like bowling is like a fun social activity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But there's people who fucking take bowling seriously.
Yeah.
Right? Does one choice or the other make bowling an inferior way to spend your time? No. Why am I right?
What?
Why am I right?
Oh,
Why is he right?
just that in the terms of high art, of the vision was to allow for podcasts to be played
Yeah.
because they're talking to people who are inferior gamers, which is the whole. I'm legitimately actually think that I'm a better gamer than you are, because
That doesn't make sense.
I know, because again, I want to play a game and only focus on that game. I want nothing else. I'm in the same way when I watch a movie,
But
the
that's-
same way I watch a television show. That's what I'm doing.
But that's the difference between personal taste and intention of art.
Exactly, and that's why I'm separating them. Where
And
my
so,
personal
Connor,
taste makes it to where I'm a better video gamer than you are.
I'm going to flip it on you. My personal taste allows me to play more types of video games than you. I can do more. I can play that. I can play this. I'm genre immune. I don't give
I
a
see
fuck
what
if
you mean.
it's
I
a
see what
puzzle
you mean.
game. I don't give a fuck if it's a platformer. I'm going to play it. I'm going to get good at it. I'm going to beat it. And I'm going to love it.
Well, that's talking about enjoying. I'm talking that when you talk about things like that, that's more about the enjoyment factor rather than being able to play it.
I'll remind you of my statement where I said I'm going to play it. I'm going to get good at it. I'm going to beat it. You know, that
Yeah.
part of the sentence.
Well,
that I just
that's
said.
the thing. I could do that for any game as well. I'm
Yeah,
talking
I
about
mean,
what I
Wouldn't
find
that
fun.
mean I'm a better gamer than you if I can play Dark Souls and also listen to a podcast at the same time and still
I
perform?
mean, there was that night that we were all in a call, and me and Tavin were playing Dark Souls, and we were succeeding.
Yeah.
Fighting bosses.
But you can't
you
join
too.
but you
Conversations,
can't
yeah.
join a Discord
Oh.
call with your
Well,
friends.
three
while
of
you're
us.
playing
You were here
Dis-
too.
Yeah.
But you can't join a Discord call while you're playing Dark Souls because it
Or playing
distracts you.
Xbox
Well,
33.
it's not that. Again, I'm not talking about whether it's affecting my actual play. It makes it less fun. Makes you add an annoying factor, an external annoying factor. Again, it's all me. It's just my own personal tastes, and I can't just focus on what I'm doing, which is the game.
Sorry
Not
that
the
I'm
conversation.
sorry that my brain and my ability to play operates at a higher level than you.
Speaking of,
But see, that's the thing. That's the issue where people
Connor,
may
whatever
think.
you say, I play the same games you play, but you don't play the same games I play. That's the difference.
Yeah, because I don't bore myself with dumb platinum trophies.
It's not boring.
Most people think it is.
Speaking of
The platinum trophies is a completely different conversation.
I'm just saying. I mean, that's the point where it's like you almost don't even really enjoy playing games when you're doing a platinum trophy. Like, you want the platinum; it's the end goal. The actual journey there might not be that fun. I mean, you
It's
complain
also
about it
like-
constantly.
but I don't do it to every game. It's only games I love.
Yeah, well, that's true.
For the most part. There's some examples of not so much, but you know,
I also just
So?
like I enjoy the hunt of the platinum also.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
like most of the time when I'm hunting for a platinum, I'll like, yeah, there's some charm to this game.
Mhm.
Like I enjoy like bits and pieces of it.
Especially with all those
It's also-
slot games you played.
It's just a weird argument to put down me wanting to see 100% of what a game has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a weird
Well,
argument.
those
to
are
put
two
down.
different things. Platinums aren't necessarily 100% the game
but-
has to offer. It's what they designate as the things you can do to get that trophy icon pop up.
Which
at
is
the end.
usually tied to 100% completion of the game.
Usually.
No, usually, but not
Usually,
inherently. It's not an inherent factor of
I
a
mean,
trophy.
Sometimes it's tied to 117% completion of the game. Hollow Knight.
All right. I mean, like-
it might be 113, but
How is
When,
that possible?
you know, when I play
it's
Snake
just-
Eater,
oh,
when I play
arbitrary,
Snake
they
Eater,
decide what percentages.
I'm bad at math.
when I play Snake Eater and you play Snake Eater, like, I'm gonna shoot all the frogs because I want to see what that gives me, and lo and behold, it gives me something. But you don't, and so you won't see that thing.
Mhm.
I don't understand your point. Like
Um,
it just if you apply any level of thought to it, I think it falls apart.
I'll say again. Speaking of better gamers, so to decide the order for Fantasy Critic this year, we're having like some kind of competition, right? It's not just gonna be random. We're gonna have-
I mean, why? It doesn't like. There's no difference.
Wait, what?
I floated in the Discord like months
Months
and months ago that for deciding the order in Fantasy Critic this year, we have to play some kind of competition, and whoever wins gets to go first. Or gets to decide their place.
I just don't think there's a benefit with only 3 people in the league. I don't think there's a benefit to the order of it.
I get you.
I mean, I think arguably the least valuable spot is who goes first, but then they get to go first. So they get
the least valuable spot is second.
I mean, the first player who gets 2 choices on the board is player 3. So how is that not better than who goes second?
I said that's the least valuable.
Oh, really?
Second, yeah.
They get 2 choices before seat 1, and it's really the first 7 games that are the most valuable. From there, you start going, all right, well, maybe this will work out for me.
Well, it depends on the year.
Yeah. I just don't. There's just no value. I don't think there's enough value in seat positions to determine that. If we were like 6 players deep in a league, then yeah.
Because otherwise it takes forever to rotate who gets priority.
By the time you get to player 5 or 6, they're like, shit, all the 90s are gone.
Yeah.
I think the cutoff for where it actually matters is closer to like 5. Yeah. It is what it is.
Well, that aside,
I think literally like one more player adds something to your argument.
Well, that aside, to wrap up the conversation.
Yeah.
To put a little cherry on
I thought
top.
we were done.
No, it kind of faltered it went into something else. And
well, I mean, we talked about being better gamers, and so I thought that was a good segue.
No, it made sense.
Being a better gamer,
Yeah, totally.
Why wouldn't the best gamer get to go first?
That is true. Logic checks out, but I don't know. I concede to your point and agree with your point of the intentionality of the game maker does factor in, such as listening to podcasts, but it still makes it inferior to some other games, certain games. I know that's again the ranking part is like I don't like to think art. I don't like to think of art that way, but everyone inherently does it, and it's fun to do it as well.
I so wish you came from a more liberal arts background, because the way that you can expand your view on these things is fantastic. I'm not saying the way you see it now is not without value. It absolutely is, but and I think you're like there are many times where you in reviews and conversations that, throughout where you've made a point, I go, oh no, you're right about that. But
I also really I honestly really appreciate Connor's viewpoint because it keeps us out of an echo chamber.
Hey,
so I mean, but we generally stay in the same realms. But I also just think that sometimes I see you apply restrictions and boxes to yourself or to whatever, right? And I sit there and I go, yeah, but you just don't need to put that on you. It doesn't need to be there, And this is one of those things. Now, if your choice is simply I just don't like it, fine. But when the game placates it so well, you're intentionally restricting yourself from what the game is providing you because of an outward thing that the game isn't asking of you.
Yeah. I mean, immediately gets beaten again, like I said before, if we're using Power Wash Simulator as an example in the conversation we're talking about, that it's a game function rather than a thing that relies on you to do on your own and to make a decision on your own.
Okay, but Pokemon Soul Silver was a great music/podcast game, right? And you can be like, oh, well, I enjoyed the music of that thing. Yeah, sure. But, we also played an emulator that put it ×2 speed, and I spent most of my time on that, which made the music abhorrent to listen to.
Very, very bad.
Yeah. Oh, it did, which is why
I for some of my playthrough, I turned that off, and then I went to YouTube and applied and played the soundtrack for a little while, just so I had a taste of that. But then when I was done with that, I went, let me put something else on, and I put something. So now I have the freedom to go, but I'm done with this. How can I enhance my personal enjoyment by applying this? And Pokemon is a type of game that placates to that. It may not have been the intention, but it allows for that as well without deteriorating the core experience. So it just depends on the game.
Pokemon is such a good podcast game because there's no dialogue.
What is
exactly
Pokemon?
Hour 35 of Final Fantasy VII. I'm sick of or
see that's
when an enemy dies,
and that's kind of my point. Where wouldn't that then become a mark against the game itself for not being diverse enough in these kinds of things?
Not when
stimulating you enough across a 35+ hour experience, because at that point maybe you should think more about how you factor in how music might entertain you in those moments where you would usually get bored with it. An example is Xenoblade Chronicles, which has an incredibly fluid music system that changes depending on how you're doing in combat. And even though you're hearing the same thing over and over again, it completely changes how music functions within the game by constantly giving you different stimuli rather than repeating the same one over and over again for an especially long game.
Again, it depends on the game. Xenoblade came out decades after Final Fantasy VII, so I'm not going to hold the technical limitations of Final Fantasy VII against itself. Obviously, that's not a problem in Remake and Rebirth, you know, because they have the technology to be able to have the dynamic level and the storage capacity to just have more music tracks to vary that experience. You know what I mean? To spoil part, I mean, yes, that would take points away from a game, but sometimes it's also intentional to have.
You're robot.
I know. I'm trying. We're gonna wrap up here. Sometimes it's the intention of the game to do that.
You're like, yes, we're gonna wrap up. It's fine. And then Iku's like, I gotta. I get you.
Testing. There we go. I don't know if it's a battery thing or if it's like a setting thing, but it might be both. I don't know. I'll have to play with it. To spoil a little bit of what's happening next week, right? Which I didn't want to do, but now we're here.
Here we are.
Cruelty Squad has terrible music, but it's on purpose.
Abrasive to the senses.
But it's on purpose, right? So am I going to subtract points from Cruelty Squad because it is abrasive to the senses? Or am I allowing it to be part of the experience or understanding that and then also going, okay, but I get it. Cool. Cool point that you made, artist. I'm going to turn this off now and play my own music.
Because I don't like it.
Because I don't like it, right? But is it fair to Cruelty Squad? But yeah, but we wanted to do that. You know? It's and this is why, like, I also think it's just so important to the human experience to be a part of something creative and create something from nothing. To create something from nothing truly gives you that experience of looking at something and going, okay, but what is the truth of this project that we're working on? Whether it's a stage play, a song, a lived experience, whatever it is, right? A movie. The creator is always constantly looking at the project that they have in front of themselves and going, what is the truth behind this? What is the right choice to make? And it's when you get examples of like Resident Evil 6, where you go, clearly there wasn't a unified vision here. Clearly you were making choices based off of market research or group testing and things like that, and that affected the art in a detrimental way. But in Cruelty Squad, they intentionally make the game ugly as sin and terrible to look at, right? Through, yes, the throwback to old computer first-person shooter games like Wolfenstein and Doom and whatever, but also like they take it a step further and like their textures are intentionally terrible. The colors
are weird.
The colors are just like,
not appeasing colors, not like nice blues,
the
not
eyes
nice greens.
To look at.
Yeah.
But it also applies to some of the themes that they're going for in that game.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to talk about how did they achieve those themes next week, so make sure you like and subscribe and click on that review next week. But that's the choice that they made. Now, does Cruelty Squad having bad music make it lesser of a game? Well, that's the question. My point is always, was it the intention, and did they execute on that intention? Cruelty Squad, in my opinion, that was their intention, and it executed upon it. Now, my personal favorability of the game is also a factor in that, and so you are abrasive to my senses. It hurts my ears and eyes. So does that affect my experience? Yes, but that was also the point. You know what I mean? So like it's just a weird combination of things that we have to gauge in, and it's why I want to continue to have these elevated conversations about video games on these shows, is because we don't talk enough as a culture, as a medium. We still treat video games like toys, and they are, but no more or less valid than going to see a live stage play, no more or less valid than going to see a live sporting event or watching a sporting event from your television. I don't like it when people criticize other people for screaming at the TV when the Cowboys are losing again. That is part of the experience. That's part of the point of the culture. Let them experience it the way they want to. I don't like it when people say, oh, why are you clapping at the end of the movie? Because, motherfucker, they executed. I don't care that they can't hear me. I want to give back to the art. You know, experiencing art on that level and giving yourself to it 100%, is part of the experience. And to negate yourself of that is to take away something from yourself as a human being, as a lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
So just fucking throw on a goddamn album while you're playing Power Wash Simulator. It's not that big of a fucking deal.
It is good for that kind of game. Takes the opposite turn when you're playing a game where that's not the intentionality. Would you agree with that? Like Dark Souls, for example.
What are you talking about?
Dark Souls, for example, you said when you run a lot of runbacks in the first Dark Souls, a lot.
Yeah.
And you put on, I'm going to put on something to entertain myself during that.
Yeah.
You're immediately alleviating a problem baked inherently to the game. And it's clearly one that they, fixed in Elden Ring by adding the stakes of Marika. Clearly it wasn't, they were like, we should enhance the game by not making these runbacks that don't add anything to the game. And so they modified it that way. But the moment you're like, I'm going to add a podcast, it minimizes when you're like objectively looking at a video game and you're giving an aspect of it slack solely because you did your own legwork to alleviate that problem. So, again, Dark Souls is an example, but I still stick with my original point when it's not the intention to have that being played.
Yeah.
Because you're all right. Artist intention is very important.
Yeah.
Brute Squad's a perfect example of that.
The inherent part about creation is the risk reward, is the pro and con of making choices. Other people will not everybody will agree with the choices you make. From Software makes the choice to have set respawn points that you have to personally activate to add to the difficulty, to add to their
fluidity of gameplay,
it's
of the
their
experience.
Game design ethos, right?
Yeah.
The game design ethos that they created for themselves applies to that. And sometimes that means you have to run through Anne Orlando 7 times before you get past the goddamn windows and the window archers, right? And yes, that part sucks. I said in the review, that part sucks.
That wasn't that bad.
Fuck you. Right?
First time, he beat it the first time, by the way.
First try.
Not often. That's
But-
the case.
Watch the review.
Hey, man, that's the risk reward of it. Somebody turned the game off at that point because they had enough. I chose to persevere, which is the point of those games, is to persevere, to reclaim your playthrough. They take the playthrough away from you. Reclaim it. Earn it. That's the design ethos of the game, right? And so sometimes, much like in real life, I had to make those flats behind you twice. I could have given up and put the curtains back up after I found out the first time I did it wrong, right? Could have done that. Would have been easier. Would have been cheaper. And would have, given me time to play more video games, which I love to do more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I persevered it, and now they're up, and now I get the benefit of we have some cool stuff planned with those, right? And so I get the benefit of capitalizing on that. The same thing. So yeah, that part sucks, and yeah, I'm doing something that helps alleviate it, but like, I think if you're a smart reviewer, you're still taking that into account. Just because I'm doing something outside of the game to alleviate it and make it better for myself doesn't mean it still doesn't suck. It still sucks.
Yeah.
But I also don't believe it was the intention of Dark Souls to allow me to play something in the background. So I don't think it's like to me, I joke and I say, Dark Souls actually is a decent podcast game, but it's because they have so many moments like that where it's a lot of run back, it's a lot of backtracking, it's a lot of, I'm just exploring this thing. It doesn't require a lot of focus. The enemies in this area are
Maybe
easy.
you're like grinding.
Yeah, something like that, right? And so it's not their intention for the availability of podcasts and other things to be played while doing it, but I still can do it. I think that adds a neutral. Like, that's not a pro or a con. It's just cool, I can do this too. It's just another thing that I can do, right? It's that. Then it comes to I have the choice of doing that. Whereas like Power Wash, I mean, you still have the choice of doing it, but in the same way that like in Dark Souls you have a what do they call it? A no level up run. You can choose not to level up. You can choose to have a 0 build run, right? That's a thing.
Yeah.
A no armor run. You can choose to do those things.
Yeah.
Right? Power Wash version, raw dogging it without music or podcasts or anything like that. It's your no armor run. But on the Power Wash scale. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
It wasn't necessarily their intention to
be
deprived in just the entire game, I made a Keyblade.
I saw you did that.
Oh, cute.
Out of a little twist tie.
So,
dude, the Rookie, I got to an episode where a character fell, I'm not even kidding, into a jigsaw trap.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yep.
Oh, I might be done.
It's like in a like a pool of water. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
shocking on the top.
Yeah.
Yep.
I almost turned it off.
I watched Ash watch that.
Yeah, the only reason I kept going is because I was putting laundry away.
Yeah.
And like I just happened to have enough time to
Yep.
finish the episode, but I may not ever turn that show back on.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I turned that whole show on to get to the Cop Cutie song, and I'm not there yet. So I don't even know.
Still not there.
Man, I'm at the characters have been introduced who are like in there, not the person
Yeah.
who sings the song
Right.
because they are introduced with that song, but the other characters in that scene are there. So I'm getting close.
Question mark?
Question mark.
We'll see.
You know, it might be next season. I don't know if I'm making it to season 5 of this bitch. Like, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for your Two Penny Games Cast, episode 281, even longer than I was expecting it to be. Let us know down in the comments below what you think about all of the conversations we had. See, these are the fun ones. These are the fun ones. God, I've never seen him that red before. Like,
It was the combination of the alcohol I drank last night and yelling, I guess.
Last night?
What are you,
How would that
hungover?
affect you?
Kind of.
Bill?
In like my kind of way, which is just a bit of queasiness. If I didn't eat, I would be like sitting here, be here. Right
Gotcha, yeah.
Gotcha.
But
maybe you should find a better day to do these things.
No.
That don't require.
Tavin, the Sunday nights are. I can't escape it. It's not my choice. To
I mean,
do
there are nights you could do this on that don't require you to be up the next day and cognizant.
And do you know what I do, Tavin? I would have to go to
What do you do?
the most boring, generic bars / nightclubs, if you would call them that or whatever, rather than the one that's only open on Sunday.
I refuse to believe you can't find a fun club in Fort Worth.
I always have tried. And I've never been. I've always just like, this sucks.
These motherfuckers drive out to Dallas every Sunday night, and they don't even do it at a reason. They leave at like 11:30.
Okay, all right. Two things. First of all, Dallas in our like new place is 23 minutes away, so it's not that
It's not
bad.
that bad.
It's not. Second of all, the
It
lateness.
it should be more than 20-30 minutes. You motherfuckers are driving fast.
Oh, that's true. But the only reason we've mainly left late is because of him. Because this is like the third time. Because he gets his
How
car.
dare I talk to them a little bit?
Yes, a little bit. We get into conversations with him. It's like 9:30. We're like, okay, we're gonna leave, and then it could be like almost 11. Like last night, it was almost 11 by the time we were leaving. This is not a criticism against
That's
you.
not
Tavin.
fair
I just-
because other times y'all are sitting here pre-gaming or you smoke before you leave. Or
Yapomatic over
and
here.
the issue with those, you're right. That's the issue with those, which we fixed now because we always would go with like Malibu or a White Claw. Now we go hard. Like that's to actually pregame. Well, so we did that tonight, and we were like, all right, now we can go. We're good to go.
can
But then the
absolutely
conversation
with a
came.
White Claw. I don't think he wants to get in the car drunk. Is his thing?
No.
jeez.
Because you have to realize when I'm going to start buying things at the club, I'm not going to be buying mixed drinks. I'm going to get beer. That's what I like to drink at these
Beer.
places. I like beer. You know, I don't like the mixed drinks. Always suck at clubs, and they're never worth it. It's just nice to have a beer in your hand.
God,
And I'm never going to get there with just the beers.
They can. It depends. I mean, but if I'm at a club, I'm just getting like a fucking rum and pineapple or something.
Mhm.
Like,
I saw-
like a basic two ingredient.
I saw a
drink.
TikTok of a bartender in a club that made like 8 AMFs back to back to back to back to back.
I don't miss that.
Looks stressful as fuck.
I don't miss that at all. Anyways, until next time, have a great time. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.
Freeze.